coming, the drums rum-tumming everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over, over there, over there, over there. Send the word over.
Hey everybody, this is Joshua Littrell. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Honor Across Arms podcast. I'm extremely excited again to bring you all Katie O'Neill, who is the producer behind the Honor Across Arms podcast. We had her on as a previous guest, but today it's actually about Katie. It's about who she is, her military service, and really getting into why she did what she did. Katie, thank you so much for being a guest today.
Hey, my pleasure. Thrilled to be back.
Absolutely. So if you don't mind, give the listeners a geographic location of where you're at in the country today.
Okay. Today I'm in Sarasota, Florida, and I'm at our studios on North Tamiami Trail at the Center of the Arts and Humanities building, which houses several different media types here, and this is where all the magic happens.
Down in beautiful Flow Rider.
Absolutely.
So, Katie, you are a Navy veteran.
I am.
So you are the very first guest that we've had that is actually Navy Reserve, and I'm really excited to get into your service, what it was like for you to serve, why you served, and just talk about, who you are. So, Katie, if you don't mind, tell us when you joined. You don't necessarily have to tell us what year. Just give us the decades.
Yeah, you're making me sound old.
Never. I never want to do that. I know better than that.
Okay, well, I first have to preface this story a little bit because
All right.
When I was a young girl, I had visions of doing the military thing and making mom and dad proud. I was really excited about doing that. And then I met this guy.
Okay.
Then I became a wife and a mother and a widow.
Oh.
All in a very short period of time. I was married at 17, a mother at 18, a widow at 19.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
But out of that marriage came my beautiful daughter. The problem was, I found out that as a single parent and no living father, I had to give up custody if I wanted to go into the military.
Wow, really?
And I said, no, but when she's old enough, should I still have the desire, I'll discuss it then. So how it all comes about is I decide that for the first time in my life, I'm going to do something for me.
Okay.
And I'm 34 years old, which is kind of scary. Because now I'm probably one of the world's oldest living recruits.
Well, I got to jump in there for just a moment. I know it's scary, but man, that is phenomenal from my standpoint because you're getting a recruit that has real life experience, that's not young and green behind the ears, that has true dedication, that's got probably some good discipline. I mean, you're an exciting recruit from my standpoint because that also gives the recruits that have been recruited with you somebody to look up to and somebody to help guide them in that process too. So I hear you, but I also say that you're exciting for me from a recruiter standpoint.
Well, you would have thought so. My recruiter kind of wasn't 100% straight up with me when I went in. And I found out very quickly that I was not going to get all the things that she promised. Because I was thinking, okay, finally I'm someplace I can retire from, I can do this, And for the next 5 years, I could P&A every exam that I ever took, but I could never get promoted. So I went in as an E3 and came out as an E3. And I believe that is due to the fact that, as you said, I was disciplined. I was ready for the task. I knew what needed to be done. And they're telling me all these rules and regs that I have to follow, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But the first time that I had to turn somebody in for sexual harassment, all of a sudden the attitude about me changed very quickly.
And these decades that we're talking about when this was going on, when was this?
1991 through 1999.
So this is really big time. This was back when Clarence Thomas, I think, was going on as a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, and Clinton had closed our rates.
Absolutely.
He didn't understand the military. So, yeah, a lot of things didn't happen the way that it was supposed to happen. And I was, for the most part, pretty much railroaded out of ever re-enlisting because I knew that I could not go anywhere. I was never going to advance. But oddly enough, within the first year I was there, I received CELRES Sailor of the Quarter, or Sailor of the Year, the first year
that
I
is
was
beautiful.
there. And in the process of my military active duty time, I was commended by admirals 3 times.
Wow, that is so awesome. So, where were you at when you were serving? What duty station were you at?
Well, when I enlisted, I was scheduled to go to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii.
Wow.
With Subbase Pearl Harbor. And after the incident, I was immediately transferred to Subpact Atlantic Det 118. And basically what that meant was, no, you don't get to go to Hawaii. You're going to go to Norfolk. And Norfolk is where I stayed for the next 8 years of my active duty time.
Wow. Wow. So what was your job while you were in?
I was a yeoman. I had originally wanted to go in as something other than a secretary. But as it turns out, that's where they put me, and that's what I did. I, in a very short period of time, was able to decipher and use a brand new computer system called the Enable.
That is beautiful.
And the next thing I knew, I was doing officers' evals, and I shouldn't have because I wasn't of rank to be able to do that, but they couldn't find anybody else who could do it.
Sure. I mean, on this computer, this was a newfangled thing. This was not something. This was all brand new for everybody in the world. And here you are running this new piece of equipment. That's amazing.
When I went on active duty to Norfolk, I was teaching commanders and colonels how to use the Enable system within the IS department.
Wow.
So, intel and security was where I really wanted to go. I got as close as I could get.
Okay.
That was it. I had a secret clearance, not top secret.
Well, so tell us about the service. How did it work as a Navy Reserve? When you're in that type of situation, you're doing your weekend a month, right, and 2 weeks a year. What did you do the other, time of the year? I was trying to calculate how many days or weeks that was, and I couldn't do it quick enough.
No, I had a lieutenant commander who told me, she said, "Katie, I swear to God, you're the most irreverent sailor I've ever met, but I can count on you for anything."
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's probably true because I've always had a wild sense of humor, and it's hard for me. I was saluting chiefs. I didn't know any better.
Right.
I guess because I was older, they expected me to know more. It's like, no, I'm just as green as everybody else is.
Sure, that's right.
But the time I went in, I was actually working for Western Auto's home office in Kansas City in their cooperative advertising and distribution area.
And that was an insurance company?
No, Western Auto was the auto manufacturer, or not the auto manufacturer, but when I was a kid, they were like the precursor to the Sears and Roebuck catalog. You could You could buy a couch and a bicycle, clothing, medicines, you name it.
Interesting.
It was all a Western Auto thing, but their primary focus was automotive advertising and automotive type sales for parts and oil and whatever you needed.
So this was your day job, as I'm doing my air quotes, right? This was
correct.
What you were doing while you were not training for the United States Navy.
That is correct.
And how long did you stay in that type of position? And then the second part of that question is, what was that like from an employer standpoint? Did they have a problem with you going off on the weekends and then the 2 weeks of the year?
No, because it was actually I hate to say this, but it's so true. It was the good old boy atmosphere. So for a woman to go do that, I was kind of the joke. It was my way to get out of work on the weekend. I got an automatic 2 week vacation. They didn't take me seriously.
That's so horrible. I don't even.
Oh,
I was going
that's
to say it's funny,
normal.
but it's not even funny. Right? It was. Unfortunately, it was normal. And I think today's military, it's changed a lot because of
Oh
women
yeah.
like you. You know, you led that charge for women like my wife now, who are in senior leadership positions that are taken very seriously, that are, managing commands of men and women underneath them. So because of you setting that tone, going through the BS that you had to go through, you're able to say you help lift up the women that are serving now, and I really, really appreciate that.
In my opinion, yes, because I had a chief select that she really rode me hard. And had it not been for her, I probably would have re-upped. But I I see no point when there is no war going on to be browbeat or to be physically uh, forced to do something that you're not quite capable of doing. And a lot of things, see, I got to go back here again because a lot of people don't realize that even as a reservist, you're required to do the same physical exercises that
Oh yeah,
someone who is on
absolutely.
active duty has been trained to do and is physically ready to do. But
Hmm.
when a reservist comes out um, to any of these PTs or, physical tests that they would have, we still had to do a 17-minute mile. We still had
Right.
to do a minimum requirement of 25 push ups, 25 sit ups.
You had to stay ready to fight. I mean, you
Yes,
you you are a war fighter just as much as the active duty component that you serve with as well.
right. And we were still expected to be able to pass those tests. And believe me, it was not easy. I
Right.
damn near died going around a quarter-mile track, and thank God there was another service officer running beside me who literally was right there going, "You can do this. You can do
That's
this.
right.
You can do this." Now,
That's right.
by the time I got to the end and fell over, yes, I was the last one to come in. Yes,
That's
I
okay.
was physically ready to pass out. But had it not been for that particular man, I don't think I could have made that track.
Yeah,
But that's the kind of camaraderie that soldiers have
that's right.
that civilians don't have.
That's exactly right. It's about picking up, and helping out. It's as you're only as strong as that weakest link, right? So if you don't help that person out, then your whole entire unit fails.
Oh,
So you've
absolutely.
got to make sure you're helping.
Yeah, my dad raised us with the theory of pick your friends like you would pick your foxhole partners.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a phenomenal way to look at it, man. I'm gonna take Dwayne's guidance on that and make sure that because you come from a military family, and
Yeah.
you alluded to it earlier that you knew what you wanted to do. You wanted to make your parents proud,
Oh, I
even though
did.
you didn't sign up when you were old enough legally to sign up. That you waited a few years, but that's why you decided to do this, right?
Absolutely.
So why the Navy?
Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told mom and dad. I don't look good in green.
Oh my gosh, that is too funny.
I
That is
like
too
those
funny.
sharp white and khaki and navy uniforms. Those were stylish. Those were
Oh yeah,
nice. I
absolutely.
could
I
get
agree.
that I
They
could
still
get
are.
that gig line straightened out and I would know
Hmm?
exactly where, all the pleats were and I was proud of that uniform. That was nice.
That's so true. Hey everybody, this is Joshua Littrell here on the Honor Across Arms podcast with our guest Katie O'Neill today. Katie, you talk about the gig line. Tell our listeners what that is, because I'm sure there's a lot of them that are like, "What in the world is that?"
It's not a fishing line, I can tell you that.
That's right, and it's
Uh,
not a frog gigging line
no,
either.
it is not. That means that from the top button of your uniform through